Hello and welcome to Daily Dose Radio, a 5-minute-a-day podcast studying the Psalms verse by verse, recorded here in the dining room of the Bible Bistro, located in Sharonville, Ohio. Hey there, friend. Welcome back to Daily Dose Radio here in the Bible Bistro. Today we're going to look at verses 3 through 5 in Psalm 97, and yesterday we began with just some overview. We have one speaker, one subject, one theme that begins and ends the psalm, that is, to rejoice before the Lord. This is attributed to David by the Septuagint, but nothing here in the Masoretic text, so we're calling this an orphanic psalm. We're going to look at 3 and 4, which continues this idea about the Lord's habitation, or his throne, rather. So it's all about his throne. The Lord reigns is what we begin with in verse 1, and we find out that there's a throne. Righteousness and judgment are the habitation of his throne. A fire goes before him, this is verse 3, and burns up his enemies round about. His lightnings enlighten the world. The earth saw and trembled. The hills melted like wax at the presence of the Lord, at the presence of the Lord of the whole earth. So you see this idea of earth, the Lord and the earth, is here from verse 1 through verse 5. His throne is established. Fire proceeds from it. Lightnings shoot out from him. He lightens the world. So these aren't lightnings of judgment, but rather these are lightnings of enlightenment. So the Lord is lighting up his world, the world that he made in 3 days. He's lighting it up so that you'll notice it says the world. And the world, usually the world represents not the physical creation, but the world of men. So we have the earth, that is the entirety of the created order mentioned, and then we come to the world. His lightnings enlighten the world. So he is a message that goes out to the world of men. And you can follow that theme throughout the psalm because we have it again in verse 6. All the people see his glory. Well, what's that? That's that lightnings that enlightens the world. Now we see his glory, the people's. So it's almost like a parallelism. The lightnings enlighten the world, the people see his glory. And then again in verse 11, light is sown for the righteous. So we have the Lord revealing himself in stages here. The lightnings enlighten the world of men, the people see his glory, and the light is sown for the righteous. It's wonderful. And this is all coming from what? Well, the throne. This is all coming out of his throne. He has ordained that this should happen. So he's lightening the world of men. The earth saw. So you notice we have that contrast. The world and the earth trembled because of the lightnings. So the earth knows what to do. It knows to rejoice and it knows when to tremble. The hills melted like wax at the presence of the Lord, at the presence of the Lord of the whole earth. There it is again, the whole earth. So the correct response is shown to us here by the created order before the Lord who reigns. The earth rejoices, the earth trembles, and at the presence of the Lord of the whole earth, there is this submission before him. So the created order demonstrates that for us. So we have the earth in verse 4, we have the world in verse 4, and we have the earth there in verse 5. So this is the Lord who made all things. This is his throne, which is established in righteousness and judgment. Also, I want you to notice how this word righteousness sort of gets woven throughout. Because we're going to see it again in verse 6, and we're going to see it again in verse, where was that? Yeah, down here in verse 11. We're going to see it there as well. So this idea of righteousness is going to be woven through here, just as this idea of light and glory is woven through this psalm. And it all comes back to that first statement, which is our one subject here in the psalm. That first statement in verse 1, the Lord reigns. He reigns. He's in charge. He's king of all things. All right, so tomorrow we'll pick up verses 6 and 7 here on Daily Dose Radio. Thanks for listening to Daily Dose Radio. For more fresh and delicious Bible studies, podcasts, books, and more, check out the Bible Bistro online and on YouTube. Join me again next time for Daily Dose Radio.